Alright, what's going on, beautiful people? It's your boy AK Rex, and I decided to record this mini podcast about Jurassic World, Camp Cretaceous Season 2. As you know already, I have done the review for Season 1. You can look it up in the link in the description, so make sure you watch that first. But before you watch both of them, please make sure you're caught up with the seasons all the way. If you want to watch it and you don't want it spoiled, do not continue with this video and do not watch the Season 1 review until you watch the show, if you're actually invested or interested in it. If you're not, or if you already watched it and you don't mind the spoilers, you have been warned, so be mindful of that, alright? Now, there are a few things I wanted to point out first. So first of all, this is just a sort of, just a voiceover. I just put this image up, just so that it can fill up something, but I'm not intending to do a proper slideshow here. I am just gonna talk about everything that I've written down in my notes, and I will just let you maybe grab some drinks, grab some snacks, and perhaps just relax and make yourself comfortable so you can listen to this while you maybe do some work or whatever else it is that you normally do when you watch or listen to people's videos and podcasts. So now that you have done that, let's get into this. In no particular order, to be honest. I just kind of took the notes and compiled them as I went along. So first things first is that I want to start with the positive and I want to end with the positive. However, there is a lot of criticism in between. That does not mean I overall see it as a good product. Personally, I do not. That's just right up there up front. But with the positive side of it, I want to start off by saying that I find this season to be overall improvement from Season 1. I definitely enjoyed the dynamics a bit more, just because I didn't feel like it was boring or that I would feel like I wanted to fall asleep. Season 1 was more boring for me, I will admit that, but Season 2 actually was somewhat more interesting in certain aspects. There was definitely this idea that there was a premise, that if they'd done it right, in my opinion, they could have really made this a really fun product, and it could have truly succeeded, in my eyes at least, as a fan. Although I did say that, yes, I did fall out of love with this franchise, because it's just not the way it used to be to me. It doesn't mean anything to me as much as it once did. I still like it for what it was and for what it brought to me in terms of the originals, but that does not really make me feel the way it used to do once, you know what I mean? Like, I've kind of, let's just say I'm way past the honeymoon pink glasses kind of state in regards to this franchise. So let's get into the more nitty-gritty pieces, because let's be honest, that's why you really came here. You didn't come here for praises and praises and approvals, etc. You came here because you want to hear someone say things how it is and give you a different kind of opinion, perhaps, in contrast to every other channel that I know of, who mostly, I mean, I don't know many, I'll admit, but those few that I have seen, they seem to mostly praise it. And that's their opinion, that's okay. I'm not going to point fingers, nor am I going to ostracize them for it. Tastes are subjective, artwork is subjective, and that is perfectly fine. I'm just here to share you what my opinions are and see if it resonates with you or not. So don't take it too seriously. At the end of the day, it's just an entertainment product, and it's a matter of whether we are entertained by it or not. And once again, feel free to leave your comments as well if you agree or disagree or want to add something. I mean, I may respond, I may not respond, but just because I didn't doesn't mean I didn't read it. So, I mean, I do read comments, I don't always respond to them. I sometimes just like to, just to see what's going on, and just, you know, if it's something that I feel like I need to respond, then I'll respond. If not, then I'll just leave it as is. You know, even if I disagree with you, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's all good. Okay, let's get into this, guys. It's been 5 minutes and I've been rambling. So, where do we start? I'd say animations, once again, no improvement here. Same clanky, very... it feels like it's really lazy and cheap. It doesn't feel organic. I mean, it could still be cartoonish, don't get me wrong, animated, but it just doesn't feel like they've put a lot of effort into the quality itself. It just didn't come off to me as something that was very presentable in that sort of regard. So aesthetics already kind of ruin it for me, which is a bit of a letdown, but I can still let that fly if the story itself was really good, because there are many products out there that don't have very good special effects, but they have very good stories, and they still, you know, feel pleasant to watch just because of that. So I'm going to jump into issues with the T-Rex. So I compiled a few things that I noticed, and in no particular order. You will probably recognize the scenes if you've recently watched the show. It's remember when they were running away from it in the beginning, I think, and there was a baby Parasaurolophus. And it looked so obvious how it kept hesitating to grab it until we were off screen. So basically they're no longer showing us animal predatory behavior, so because, you know, they're trying to make this a kids cartoon. And yeah, I have a problem with that. I have a problem with the fact that Jurassic Park has basically devolved and downgraded to just basically being a corporate children's kind of thing franchise. It's, you know, it's clearly started from a completely different place, and yet now they're just trying so hard to pander to children. And the funny thing is that there are so many stupid things about it that I think most kids, if they have, you know, if they're genuinely really, you know, intelligent, and many kids are intelligent, in fact, they will see the bullshit, you know. They're not going to simply, you know, pretend like it's great, you know. If I mean, maybe there are many kids who like this, I don't know, maybe the society has changed. I know many kids personally who would look at this and think that this whole thing just really is an insult to their intelligence. If you compare it to things like Land Before Time or Secrets of the Nymph and many other really nice and well-written animated series or movies that have made some really good effort at portraying and making good stories, where they weren't afraid to show certain tough aspects of life, which would contrast with all the sense of humor and other kind of pleasant, triumphant scenes. And this overall just didn't feel that way to me at all whatsoever. So there is that. And then, of course, aside from Baby Parasaurolophus, it keeps overusing this iconic roar and screams its lungs out the whole time. I honestly cannot, you know, say it enough, with enough maybe words, how cringe that was to me. Honestly, it just the creators clearly don't understand what they're doing with this. They don't understand what makes the Jurassic Park franchise really good. They really don't have a clue. They think they can just toss a bunch of crap in there and you know, just tick some basic boxes with no thoughts put into it, and stick a label there, and that's it. It's done. Yeah, fat chance. Then the other thing that was really dumb was, although it depends how you interpret it, but they say that she was building a nest, but she's the only T-Rex on this island. Why would she be building a nest unless she's planning to breed, or she was pregnant to lay eggs, right? So how is that supposed to happen if she doesn't have a mate? Last I recall, there was no, you know, they never stated that somehow dinosaurs can be hermaphrodites. What we do know is that, you know, when there is a population of them, like in the first movie, they can change their sex, you know, gender, whatever, and so that, you know, to prevent themselves from going extinct that way, so they can start breeding. And we see that in the movie. In the first movie, it's established because of the DNA that they used with the frog and stuff like that, and that's okay, whatever. But simply just being able to produce eggs out of nowhere, I don't understand where are they going with this. And the other thing as well is that you can, of course, however, you can attribute it maybe to an instinctive behavior that regardless of whether she's pregnant or not, maybe it's just the way she responded to the seasonal changes, maybe, that it was time to build nests, so it was kind of just basic instinctive behavior where she started just doing it, regardless of whether there was gonna be a mate or not. Maybe that was the thing as well. Maybe that was her way of establishing that this is her den, this is her territory, nobody else should come here, etc. So there's that. I don't know, it depends how you interpret it and what they... I don't really understand why they were trying to do it, because there were many other ways they could have shown this off, and just without having to introduce this kind of, you know, trope, and still be able to show off that, yes, this T-Rex has this territory and we should be more careful here because that's its den. That would have been sufficient, you know, and instead they just come up with this really bullshit storyline, which just makes no sense whatsoever. And yeah, that was just really dumb. It didn't you know, hit me, it didn't rub me the right way. I'm not saying that it's really that terrible, it's just that they seem to be changing the rules as they go along, and it's almost like the franchise doesn't even understand what it is and what it's trying to be anymore. And I think they themselves are confused about what they're trying to make it into. And then, of course, we have another point with the whole, you know, posturing, nostalgic pandering as well, along with the, again, the same iconic roar that they keep reusing all the time. It's just, oh my god, Universal, you don't get it, do you? You don't understand that what makes this thing really great. You never understood this product once, you know, you got past the second movie and started with the third one. It just became your typical corporate stamp, sort of, you know, basically turds wrapped up in a pretty packaging at this point, with some pretty effects in the beginning. In the third film, I agree with that, but some cool looking designs in some cases, but everything else just kind of stinks of rubbish. Total fish dog. But anyway, and then of course we have multiple times when Tyrannosaurus Rex could have just eaten these fools so many times, so easily, and it just looks like it was letting them go on purpose. I don't understand why they cannot just let some of the characters really go into the, you know, they really aren't making it interesting and entertaining. They are forcing these things and making it so obvious that the T-Rex is letting them get away. It's like it's not trying hard to catch them at all. It's like, yeah, I'm just totally gonna let you, like, get away now because, you know, I cannot eat kids, right? Because they have plot armor. And it pisses me off. So the next bit that I wanted to talk about is the way they run around the jungle like crazy. Have you noticed that? They just run around like screaming and just laughing, doing things, and just, you know, right after that T-Rex got the baby Parasaurolophus. Just because T-Rex lost interest in you does not mean there are no other predators around. So what the hell are you thinking? Anyway, yeah, it just doesn't sound like these people are at all terrified of being alone on an island, you know, in a wilderness full of dangerous predators. Like the most dangerous predators on the planet right now. And they're not terrified about it at all whatsoever. Right, sure. And then we have Sammy, who keeps shouting like a fucking idiot the whole time. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Girl, come on, you know, get a grip. Why are you acting like this? You want to die? You want your friends to die? Do you want to get home? I don't get it. I don't get it. And then we have the other one. Now here's another one right here. Brooklyn, this character, right? I was kind of thinking that they are literally going to you know, develop her more, just to, you know, get her, you know, get her to get over this whole crap about her social media obsession, you know, and posting things on social media. I thought we were already starting to kind of red pill her a little bit more to the reality and realizing what is truly important. But no, they realized that they got stranded there, you know, indefinitely. And she's just all about worried that she haven't posted for days. What the fuck? What's your problem? You're not even making yourself useful. I mean, did you notice that she just kept playing with cameras the whole time without making herself useful at all in that moment when they were trying to find, you know, communication devices and all that stuff? Oh, look, we got a camera. Oh, look, we gotta film this. Brooklanders, blah, blah, blah. Just shut the fuck up. Anyway. Then, of course, all of a sudden, with her character later down the line, as I said, no particular order, but later down the line, her character all of a sudden, miraculously, when they are trapped inside like a warehouse kind of thing or a garage, she miraculously knows how to ride a motorcycle. Like, do we have any evidence at all previously? Like, remind me, please, my dear viewers and subscribers. Has she been shown, or in any way has she told us that she knows how to ride a motorcycle? Because I don't remember that. If she did, then you can discard this point. That's a fair and square. But I do not remember that, and I'm pretty certain there was no mention of that at all. That she has, you know, maybe she was like a practice stance woman or something like that. You know, there was nothing like that at all. Because, you know, they could have introduced that as part of her, you know, social media thing as well. That she's not only doing the blog posting and stuff, but she also does, you know, some stunt you know, things, work, whatever, and for commercials maybe, or some other things, you know, for different companies, like motor companies, etc. Because we saw her doing the modeling when she was promoting a product in the shop, where we saw her cardboard stand-up thing. So why didn't they introduce that as well? That would have fixed everything. But instead we just have convenient plot, because otherwise they would all have to die, but they cannot die because they're fucking kids. So, yeah, they're just gonna basically be saved by a girl who has never, you know, who has never shown any evidence that she knows how to ride a motorcycle, and all of a sudden, convenience, she knows how to ride a motorcycle. Well, and by the way, before you idiots are gonna start fucking saying shit, oh, yeah, did you say girl? You're a sexist. Yep, go fuck yourselves. It has nothing to do with her being a girl, and you fucking know it, okay? So don't even try that shit. Anyway. My dear viewers, sorry about that, let's continue. And now, of course, there's this moment when they start splitting up, you know, they decide that let's go look for things and cover more ground so we can split up. But the problem is, you know for a fact you have no communication means, and for some reason you decide that it's a good idea to split up. Why? Why do you think that's a good idea? What if something happens, you get trapped and you have no way to call for help? If you're gonna start screaming, do you know who's gonna find you first? Maybe Blue the Velociraptor, or maybe the T-Rex, or maybe something else. Maybe Toro the Carnotaurus, maybe the Baryonyx pack, maybe something else, whatever. So, I don't understand that. Why are they so, you know, silly? Why are they allowing these characters to get away with the stupidest shit they could possibly get away with? In a place like this, where they would die in an instant if they were doing any of that nonsense. Pisses me off. Anyway, so now there's another problem with this. That's another thing that it's like, you know, it's almost like they keep making these mistakes, almost like they're trying to die. It's like they're trying to let Universal know that they want to be killed, but Universal just wouldn't do it. So they put the food out in the open because their pizza was frozen, so they tried to make it thaw, but once it started thawing, it started producing more smell, right? And you know how animals, they tend to pick up the scent a lot better than humans do? Well, guess what? It attracts animals. If you are in the wilderness, okay? If you're in the wilderness, unless you're planning to eat the food that you just prepared, like, get rid of it as far as you can, because animals will find it, and it's very possible that predators will find it. And you are currently in an island full of dangerous predators. So, yeah, add 1 plus 1, you would probably, you know, I'm just saying. Anyway, the other thing, of course, in this whole situation that stuck out to me, that once again, Darius, the best character who carries this whole show, in my opinion, is the only one who is actually trying to solve this problem. He's actually trying really hard to come up with solutions, and I don't understand why other characters aren't trying so hard or coming up with their own ways to do it. And this is the problem. You have so many characters, but you don't develop them. It's almost like you're wasting too much screen time with only 8 episodes, 23 minutes or so each long, without any proper character development. Why should I be invested in this, you know? Just because it has some shitty animations of dinosaurs that don't even look like proper dinosaurs of their respective counterparts anymore at this point. And I'm talking about not just by JP standards, but JP originally looked a lot more like their original counterparts than their cartoony kind of, I don't know, cheap knockoff versions with clanky animations and just overall badly made things or designs, whatever. I don't know, man. I don't know what else to say. Anyway, let's continue. And then they stumble upon Stegosaurus plate. And they decide, for some reason, Universal thinks it's a cool idea to decide to come up with this fantasy bullshit that Stegosaurus shed their plates the same way that antlers are shed by deer. You do know that there is no evidence of that, right? And but AK, how do we know that all the plates that we found haven't been shed? Well, if they have been shedding them, let me tell you, if they have been shedding them, okay? Listen up. Listen closely, guys. If they shed them, we would find a lot more plates. It's really that simple. We would just simply be finding a lot more plates because they would be shedding them on a regular basis. And guess what? Maybe tens of millions of years however long Stegosaurus have been around, well, that would have produced a lot of different shed plates. And we would have found them, you know, isolated from, you know, the skeletons and stuff, because most of the times when plates were found, they were usually associated with skeletons. Even if they were not articulated, they would still be associated with them somehow. Was it always the case? No, I'm sure that was not always the case. But if they were indeed shedding them, we would be finding crap ton of these plates. We could build houses from those plates, okay? That's what I'm saying. And also, shedding antlers is a unique attribute that deer has. Other animals that have horns, you know, they don't shed them because horns are kind of like part of their whole structure, basically. They're not shed. Deer, on the other hand, and their family, they're unique in that way that they shed their antlers. So there's a difference, okay? There's a biological concept to it that is different. Not to get into this too much, we can maybe do a special video to analyze this in more detail when we do like science team video, but this one is me shitting on Camp Cretaceous, so let's focus on that. So, oh my god, I need a tea. Oh, that felt so good. Yeah, so then they come across this place where they find medical supply. And Sammy wants to free a Baryonyx. And completely ignores the idea and the fact that basically it would put them into immediate danger because, you know, well, Darius then proposes an alternative idea, right? To allow the Baryonyx to go for a herbivore because, well, it's a fucking carnivore. What do carnivores eat? Other animals, other creatures. So, and then Sammy is all, Fifi's hurt, you know, oh my god, no, we can't do that. That's like, just like, what the fuck? Like, seriously. I hate, I understand they are kind of like young, whatever, but, I mean, kids know what carnivores eat, okay? You have to think things through and you have to think about your own group survival first. Seriously, her priorities are all over the place. She's a mess of a character. I already said that before. I didn't like her character. I don't like her character still. Like, this second season didn't make me feel any better about her character. In fact, it only made her more annoying the whole time. I just felt like I was cringing and annoyed the whole time. With her in particular. Right, so let's move on to the next bit. So the Stegosaurus has got free and Baryonyx has got free, but then for some reason Stegosaurus is, you know, they just run away from them. I mean, they could have just totally fucked them up. I mean, Baryonyx would not be able to do a whole lot against this Stegosaurus, as you know, they were Stegos were much bigger and way tougher than those guys. So I mean, I don't know. That was just the way I thought about it. I thought that predators were the ones who should have actually retreated from the scene, not the other way around. Also, there was this thing about Baryonyx, you know, being super speedy athlete, which another thing is just completely off about it. I genuinely didn't like the fact that they introduced Baryonyx in the way they did it in the Fallen Kingdom, and the same thing here. That was really a poor choice of portrayal at all. That was just so easy for them to try and get it right, and they just didn't. You know, it's like you have all these different places and people that you can go to talk about these things, to consult, but they just want to do what they want to do, and they don't understand that people who watch this, they are people who like dinosaurs. They're not just gonna look at them as, you know, fantasy creatures who nobody's gonna care about. It's gonna be people who are actually into dinosaurs, and they're the ones who are gonna bring the normies in. So if you cannot please dinosaur fans with this, chances are these dinosaur fans are just gonna trash it, and then the normies are gonna hear it and be like, yeah, maybe that's not really that good. I mean, whatever. You know? I'm just saying. You gotta understand how this works. That's my problem with them. They don't understand how this works. They don't understand what this franchise is all about. They don't understand what makes this thing really attractive when it was still in its prime. So, let's continue. And then we have this Baryonyx is holding grudges, taking vengeance, you know. But dude, that's unrealistic though. We don't have evidence of reptiles doing this kind of stuff. Even mammals rarely do this, if at all. It happens. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it happens extremely rarely. And it just didn't feel realistic when that bitch got eaten at the end on the boat by the two Baryonyxes, who presumably were just going after her because she killed one of their pack members. Like, big fucking deal. What they would have done was instead they would have just eaten their pack member, because they are carnivores, they need to eat, and if they are continuing to chase everything around them, that means they're hungry. If they're hungry, if they see a dead animal, even if it was their member of the pack at the time, well, he's dead, or she is dead, technically speaking. So yeah, okay, let's eat. It's whatever, moving on. Life is great. So then we also have this thing when they were running away, and Bumpy, already the big Ankylosaurus, we'll get to Bumpy in a moment, don't worry, we'll address that. But anyway, Bumpy could have easily just taken all three of them down, or however many there were at the time. I think it was 3 of them still. And I just don't understand why they couldn't just let her basically just sort them out. Baryonyx would not have been able to do shit against an Ankylosaurus like her. So what was the problem? Instead they just tried to just, I don't know, man, it's ridiculous. And then of course there was this chase with Baryonyx on a motorcycle, which Brooklyn was riding like a pro all of a sudden. And yeah, nobody seemed to be too concerned about this Australian, I think he was an Australian guy, Hap, who just basically gave his own life to save the kids, you know, who got eaten by the Baryonyxes. It's like kids, you know, they were like, oh, okay, yeah, they just drove off, and it was never really mentioned, you know, like nobody was ever concerned that this guy just literally, you know, redeemed himself and sacrificed his own life just to save the kids. I mean, oh, Jesus. This fucking show. And we're only, what, we're halfway through only, I think? Yeah, we're just halfway through, by the way, guys. So there's another few points to go. Now, one thing that I think was a missed opportunity, on a slightly lighter note here, for contrast, is that I think that Kenji versus Campis could have been a nice grudge contest throughout the series. So if they wanted to do a grudge kind of thing, they should have had Campis and Kenji just kind of trying to, you know, mess each other up at every opportunity, just to kind of, you know, say, like, maybe because, you know, Kenji would have either eaten something, or like maybe certain food leftovers were, you know, smudged against his clothes that would produce a certain smell, that would later be figured out that that's why compies were almost always trying to prod him and annoy him, because they basically smelled food from him. So he was smelling of food of some sort, and you know, he wouldn't understand what happened, and then maybe he would take a shower and then it would basically stop after a while. But it would be just really cool to see this kind of grudge sort of comedic relief between Kenji and compies. That could have been a very funny thing, but they missed that potential in my opinion. So bad, Universal, very bad. Missed opportunity. And then of course we get to this character, Yasmin. Now, I like her character actually. I liked her in the first season. I like her even more actually in the second season, just overall. I think she is the second best developed character in this whole show. So her and Darius are just the two characters who could have just been the center of this whole show. If nobody was gonna die from the kids, it should have just been about Darius and Yaz, honestly. Everyone else can fuck off at that point. Didn't see the point of any other character to be here, to be honest. They were just completely waste of oxygen at this point, waste of screen time, and doesn't bring anything. But yeah, I really liked her development overall. She also appears to be a very pretty looking young lady, so I couldn't help but noticing that as well, because, well, AK notices things and AK knows his women. Now, back on topic. So yeah, the sore ankle issue, however, kept bugging me, because it seemed like her sore ankle was only sore when the plot demanded it, and then all of a sudden when she needs to survive and all of us, you know, and stuff like that, it's all of a sudden it's fine and everything, and it never has any repercussions, like when adrenaline wears off, she all of a sudden would feel sudden surges of pain. And the other thing that I thought was really stupid, and once again it's one of those things that just contributes to the amount of stupid decisions that these people are making in this show, and with no negative repercussions to them either, is that she should have stayed in their treehouse or whatever that they built in a place of the old camp, and just stay there. Don't go out, just stay there. So, because you would be a nuisance. They would have to leave you behind if they're running away. How are you gonna run away from a predator? Because, you know, technically, if it was realistic, which it should have been a bit more realistic in certain points to create a better basically to create a better immersion. That's what I was trying to say. See, getting halfway through this and my tongue is already breaking. Anyway, so yeah, that felt a bit off, but otherwise I really liked her character. She very much could have taken on more roles here, and we could have just pretty much erased all the other characters that just weren't, there was no point to have them anyway. So anyway, let's continue. Okay, so the watering hole issue. I don't understand why is it that they decided that it's a neutral ground, because generally speaking, even at the watering holes, predators hunt at the watering holes, because guess what? Watering holes attract herbivores as well. It's a perfect chance for, you know, to get an ambush on a herbivore, and even if predators were not hungry and would attack, would not attack, and they would just go and have a drink, well, guess what? They normally stay away from everyone else. They don't tend to kind of just pile in together. I mean, yeah, there are exceptions. I'm not going to deny that. I'm sure somebody might find an exception to that. That's fine. I agree. Maybe. But the biggest gripe I have is the fact that they're trying to portray it as some kind of neutral ground. But in fact, it's actually a perfect hunting spot for any carnivore. So watering hole is not a safe haven. Watering hole should have been really bad news for them. If they found a watering hole, this should have been like, oh snap, we gotta get out of here because there's so many herbivores here, and guess what that means? There's gonna be a lot of predators lurking around here in the foliage trying to ambush them. Because that's where the hungry predators tend to follow. They find where there is a water source, so they can find all the herbivores or other animals that could potentially be a good prey item for them. So that's a complete misinterpretation of how this works in real life. And also I noticed it, and I think you might have noticed this as well. Where did all of the Triceratops and Gallimimus go? Like there was not a single one of them in the season 2. So that was really weird. And yeah, of course, at the treehouse, the positive thing here. I like the idea that they were trying to rebuild and make themselves a shelter. In fact, this could have been a really nice potential if they had longer, more episodes and maybe slightly longer episodes length as well, like to 30 minutes or something. And maybe, have a bit more of things that they could do with this treehouse. I'm pretty sure they might do something like that in season 3, but it was just really, like I didn't feel like we saw enough of stuff going on with the treehouse. In fact, the episode with the treehouse was my favorite episode of the whole season. Like the only episode I actually truly liked and enjoyed. When they went out to fix the problem with the water and then the girls went there doing the girl thing, I actually enjoyed that episode a lot. And then of course, Ceratosaurus as well on Isla Nublar. I mean, how many predators have they already spawned here? We have Tyrannosaurus, we have Baryonyx, we have Ceratosaurus, Carnotaurus, Allosaurus, which didn't appear in the show. And we have, what else do we have? Velociraptor, Dilophosaurus, and we also have, what else? I think there was a Suchomimus as well, at least based on the website, if we are to treat it as canon, which is weird because at this point I don't even know how to look at it. But anyway, that's already too many predators in one small island in comparison. Like, too many predators that would not be supported properly. I mean, they could have been a bit smarter about it and just had Allosaurus instead of the Ceratosaurus. Seriously. It's just, there was no point to insert this Ceratosaurus in there. Could have just put in an Allosaurus and that would have fixed it. I don't understand why they are trying to just insert all these different species of dinosaurs. Like, well, I mean, I get why, because they're trying to produce more toys, but could have just included a couple of Allosauruses and maybe one that would be a different kind of color scheme from the original in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and that would have been enough for you to make an alternate color scheme for a toy. There you go. Problem fucking solved. And then of course we have the issue with Ben's survival, and that's basically how Ben becomes... That's basically immortality of kid characters takes it to the next level. I mean, first of all, him looking like trying to look like a badass was cringe and so forced. I literally wanted to smash my screen. I could not look at it. It was just too much. And then he keeps yelling in his flashbacks when we're told his side of the story. Like, there are predators here. Why are you yelling like an idiot? It's almost like these people are literally trying to tell Universal that they are so miserable that they want to die. They don't want to be in this fucking show anymore. And Universal just won't grant them the wish. That's what it feels like to me the whole time. It's amazing. So, of course, then the other thing that just really annoyed me was, why did you pick a fight with Carnotaurus, Ben? Carnotaurus at the time was not after you anymore. You already ran away from it at that point. It gave up. Okay, it would have probably found a different source of food by now. No, but Ben decided that, okay, I have brass balls now, so, and because I have plot armor now as well, so it's like a level up to the point where he broke the game, and he just decided, he basically unlocked the god mode, right? And he just went and started fighting a Carnotaurus with a handmade spear. Oh my god, this was so... I was hoping that this would be like a subversion of some kind of, or just like a surprise to the audience where his spear would get snapped in half and he would just get eaten. Can you imagine how fucking hilarious that would have been? I was hoping that was the case, but of course, my hopes were never answered. Anyway, yeah, did you also notice how he manages to topple it over? When Carnotaurus charges at him and he kind of ducks under it and stabs it wherever, and somehow this causes a Carnotaurus to just basically start toppling over. Like, okay, you have me very convinced, of course, yeah, bullshit. So, then there was this really quick time jump, which was never really properly addressed, out of the blue, when Bumpy just all of a sudden becomes this fully grown Ankylosaurus out of nowhere. I was just like, how long has it been? You know, how long does it take for them to grow up, first of all, and how long we didn't have any indication, like, you know, however many amount of days later or something, you know? Something would have been better than nothing, but they didn't do any of that. And it just kind of just all of a sudden, boo, yeah. Okay. And then they had a reunion with the main other crew, which is great. That was actually very nice and positive for me. I really enjoyed that reunion scene. It was nice to see, you know, kids come together, they having each other's hugs, you know. I may be a little bit of an asshole when I talk about, you know, reviewing things, but I am kind of sentimental too, you know what I'm saying? You know, I can get behind that. Okay. So, and then we have some scenes where, you know, they have this stupid explosion thing, and it's a slow motion animation of them. Oh my god. Oh, worst probably cringe I ever experienced in my life. Probably. I mean, there are other things that can contest that, but that was just so stupid. I could not watch that. I literally wanted to rip the hair out of my head, which I don't have because I'm fucking bald. Bald man bad, hashtag. Anyway, so what else do we have here? Yes, there was this, because now I'm in charge. This basically this woman, the poacher, female poacher, basically. I don't remember what the fuck her name was. She was, yeah, they were trying to basically do the same kind of forced cliche girl power trope bullshit, but which they did with Roxy and Dave in the season 1, but this time with a different, you know, so to say, couple. And yeah, because her husband is, you know, should be like portrayed as a beta white male, basically. That's what they're trying to popularize as well, because, and then so that they can, you know, let the other, because, you know, they don't treat their female characters right. They don't allow them to rise up to the occasion without forcefully and really in a fake kind of bullshit manner putting down the other male characters around them. So they can't just have female characters to take up the mantle and just really, you know, do it like everyone else can do, right? Everyone else has to be shit so that she can look good, okay? That's what it is. And yeah, typical Hollywood, of course. And there was no point in having them at all. They were just completely useless. I mean, not completely useless. I guess they served as food for dinosaurs. Okay, maybe. I don't know. You let me know, guys. Do you think they should have been there, or do you think they were completely useless? Let me know. Or do you think that having them as the cannon fodder for the food was a good idea? Maybe. Let me know. And of course we have this other point about, you know, the whole backstory of this Manticore, which I thought was a Manticore for some reason because of the way it was pronounced. How is this gonna tie together with the Biosin, which they confirmed is going to be making its reappearance in the new film that's upcoming in the Dominion? I mean, this is gonna be basically them turning this into a huge clusterfuck, because, I mean, I don't know how they're gonna resolve it, so that's really weird. So yeah, on a positive note, trying to end here, I definitely think that there were enjoyable moments. The premise overall was not bad, but it just felt like it was very cheap, very lazy, no character development, aside from obviously Darius and Yaz, and really bad animations and cringy nostalgia moments and stupid slow motion moments and just lots of fake kind of bullshit, which, I don't know. Overall, if they rewrote this whole story and made it not specifically for kids, but made it more, you know, for a general kind of audience of all different ages, overall, that would have just made it so much better. And it really annoys me that they're trying to downgrade this franchise into a kids show or into a kids franchise. And yeah, basically, I don't know. If you enjoyed it, I'm happy for you. I just didn't. So there is that. And of course, thanks so much for sticking around this long for this mini podcast. And if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the like button, or press it, in fact. And check out my Indiegogo campaigns. I have a giant pterosaur campaign right now running. And have a look at my Etsy store as well for all the products that are available if you like dinosaur model kits and all that stuff. Alternatively, if you have a model kit of your own that you would like to have built and painted, let me know as well, and I can have a look, and maybe we can work out a deal. And I'll be happy to do it for you. So, thanks so much for watching, everyone, and you guys take care. And I'll go make the next video.